sure to visit the face painting last idea extra. The last year we sent in excess of 10,000 people down the track for this special study.
This is track of the Bobsleigh start. This is our second and final forward. So this is our second and final forward. Looking at slow down the track. Vertical drop is roughly 390 feet. The elevation. Track is approximately 1,335 meters in length. 15 corners. Very difficult sections of the track.
Bobsleigh start. Finally getting off three. Yeah.
So track to the Bobsleigh start. So the track to the Bobsleigh start. That was track record back in December 2006.
On the break.
So track to the Bobsleigh start. Now we have a new unofficial track record of 48.
Aggressively dig into the ice of the oven. We do this 7 days a week until the end of March or early April. If you want a bobsled ride, you can take a bobsled ride. You start from the common start, the exit of curve 5, in excess of 70 miles an hour. You can do that starting later this month and throughout the rest of this 22-23 season we ended, the end of March or so. So you too can take a winter ride. If that's not in your wheelhouse, how about a summer ride down the Olympic track? It's all happening here at Utah Olympic Park. 2 women in bobsleigh event beginning in just a few moments.
Welcome back to Park City, Utah, the venue for the 2002 Winter Games and for the second race weekend at the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. Great view down there from the overhead shot of this snowy, icy facility. Very cold indeed this weekend, and as a result, ice that is lightning fast. Second heat of the women's bobsleigh race coming up here this morning. Martin Haven and Trinidad and Tobago's Axel Brown watching the action. And Axel, Kaylee Humphries, bronze medalist last week in Whistler, again right in the mix. Her experience is just unmatched in this field.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the rise of the pilots here that are really in tune with their equipment, in tune with the ice, and know what they're doing, because this is such a track that has an emphasis on feel and an emphasis on kind of being in tune with your sled and with the rest of your team, and we're seeing that kind of come to fruition in the downtime zone.
But the top two have never raced here before. Kaylee's been racing here for over a decade. Lara Nolte in second place, a fantastic run, her first two-man race on this track.
Yeah, it's really incredible. She put down, but all three of these top three pilots put down great runs with great starts and good equipment, and you know those are the three parts to our sport. So it's no surprise that they're in the lead. But we've got a tight bunch all the way down even to fourth. So we're in for a heck of a race.
So Kim Kilicki, the winner last time out in Whistler, a track she'd never seen before, and she leads here on another track that she's never seen before. Kaylee Humphries won the monobob race yesterday. She also won here back in 2012 and in 2016, and was the silver medalist behind her teammate Jamie Grubel-Poser in the last World Cup race here in 2017. So Kilicki and Nolte have got pressure. From behind, Lisa Bukvitz might take a medal from fourth place. Bianca Reeby's got a tough battle on her hands with Melanie Hassler, 100th of a second. That's effectively a dead heat, and there's plenty for all of the drivers in the field to work on, improving on their first heat, because although training, the final day of training was quick, it does seem the ice was quicker again yesterday, and perhaps even quicker again today. I mean, morning ice, -5. It wasn't that cold. It was about -2 for you guys yesterday morning.
Yeah, well, it's a bit more overcast today, and you can see with the athletes warming up, there's more water on the ground, which means humidity in the air, which ordinarily can create frost. But then the times that we saw this morning, the ice is clearly very hard, very well looked after, and you know, hopefully we can see those same records be broken again.
Yeah, the track crew have done a great job here. They've had North America's Cup racing last week, World Cup racing this week. They got a week off next week to get themselves back into shape and the track before the Luge World Cup arrives in a fortnight's time. So busy times here in Park City. Race 2 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup at Park City, Utah. And in reverse order of their first heat performance, the field will go with leader Kim Kilicki out last. Excuse me, Martin Haven and Axel Brown from Trinidad and Tobago, who raced in yesterday's two-man race, watching the action. First led at the line, the USA's Riley Compton, her second World Cup start. And Justina Matson, her brakewoman, making her World Cup debut in her second ever bobsled race. Justina Matson from Hood River, Oregon, a heptathlete and now a brand new bobsledder.
Yeah, so she's got quite a gap to her teammate Nicole Vogt. So realistically, in her debut World Cup season, she's going to be looking to just put down a run that she can be happy with and move on and find things to work on and find things to improve on.
Riley driving for her after 3 years of preparation. Nicole Vogt has been driving bobsleds for around a decade now, so the experience gap is what's going to catch her out, and trying to develop from last week in Whistler, a very different track, in a Bodine sled, which feels very different to the BMW that she's struggling with here.
Yeah, definitely, and these are all things that, as you learn to be on the World Cup, I'm sure, you know, the same things myself. You know, learning new sleds, learning new tracks, it's a tricky thing to do. You know, it's a similar style of runs. A couple of mistakes, like in her first heat, they started 900s quicker, so you know, she's clearly becoming more confident, and I'm sure she'll be even more confident going into Lake Placid next week.
And it does actually look like she's kind of oversteering a little bit in the BMW. That'll be less of an issue in Lake Placid, which is really hurry up compared to the sort of long corners here, which require much less steering input, just has to be in the right place.
Yeah, and this new wave of pilots coming through for the US program do a lot of their learning in Lake Placid, so they have tons of runs down there, so I'm excited to see what this crew can do when they get back on kind of home ice.
I'm sure she is as well. She's delighted to represent the Army's WCAP program. A logistics technician.
And here we see that big problem. She's just come too hard off that corner, and that sent her into, well, you can see the runner's side on just means that it's like slamming on the brakes, just like a pair of skis. You'd turn sideways to slow down, and unfortunately the sled's doing the same thing now.
Shauna Roebuck there helping out with the sleds and with the coaching. Shana and Val Fleming, 2006 Olympic silver medalists, and the winners on this track in 2007's race. In fact, it was the fall of 2006, the post-Olympic season. Next up, Nicole Vogt with Emily Renner. Emily made her World Cup debut with Kaylee Humphries a week ago, and she is on the back of the sled with Nicole Vogt. Mixing and matching their athlete pairings, trying to find duos that gel.
So a very similar start time to her first run. We know she can drive this well, but she's got a 2/10 difference on the start to Cynthia that she's trying to catch, so she's going to have to drive this pretty perfectly to move up.
She's had plenty of success on this track, Nicole Vogt. Half a dozen wins in North America's Cup races.
Well, this is a really nice, clean run so far.
This is where that experience all comes in. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Definitely. So she just took a tap there in entrance 11, but it was a double bump tap, so it shouldn't slow her down too much. You can see obviously she's got that huge margin over her teammate. But
nice.
Really her races with the people ahead.
Yeah, nice exit, 14 to 15. Good speed at the bottom, 135 kilometers an hour, translates as 84 miles an hour, dead on. So she extends her advantage.
She's gone way up the braking straight there. It's a tricky braking straight, this one. You know, it's quite flat and it's quite hard for, you know, a young brakeman and like she is to get used to kind of how hard you need to put those brakes on.
Now, although neither driver had a perfect run in the first heat, and nobody's getting a perfect run here, there's no such thing in bobsled, both of them have gone around 0.15 of a second quicker in their second runs, despite fairly similar looking drives, so it does look like the track might actually be speeding up again. Yeah, well, we saw the same in the two-man run yesterday. It could be that the ice is speeding up, it could be that the ice is remaining pretty similar. We've only got 9 sleds going down, so it could be that the ice is similar and that the athletes are just settling in a little bit and kind of driving it just that little bit cleaner. And of course, when you come to the track 2 days after you last trained on it, it is a very different beast. The corners are in the same place, but the ice feels different. It gives you different grip levels. And the first heat is where you discover all of that. The second heat is where you try and tidy it up. Yeah, and you bring a bit more tenacity on the start. And that obviously, you know, if you found a 1/10 of a second on the start, that means that everything down the track is that little bit faster, that little bit kind of earlier. And so you have to adjust accordingly. Justin Cripps at the back there, and Lyndon Rush helping out with the coaching, or Justin Cripps is helping Lyndon Rush with the coaching this weekend. Let's be strictly accurate. Cynthia Appiah here with Leah Walkenden. Again, Leah, a second start in the World Cup.
On a podium yesterday,
Made a debut in Whistler last week. Cynthia Appiah had a top 6 finish in Whistler.
Again, the same start they had on the first run, so you've got a very nice line into 4 here, and that corresponds with a nice exit. Just slightly hard there off 5, just taking the tap into 6. So the second highest speed here, which she's going to start to bleed time back to Nicole. She only has a 2/10 going into this run advantage. You know, maybe see that come down, but half a second, you know, that's a long gap, and that corresponds to her start time being that much faster. Bronze medal in the women's monobob race yesterday. Nice exit from 14. Late skid though as she starts to climb the hill to 15 in the finish line. 49.30, so just 0.06 of a second better than her previous, but enough to add to her advantage over Nicole Vogt. So she will finish no worse than 7th. Career high of 4th place in Innsbruck a couple of seasons ago for Cynthia. Yeah, just stays on the corners just slightly too long there. She wants to get a kind of crossover so that she can get up on the next corner and not cause this late height here, which causes the tap going in. And again, just slightly heavy coming off that corner, and that could be just a residual effect of driving the mono, which she does incredibly well. You know, she was moving up constantly in the second heat, but those monos, you really have to take control over it, whereas the two-man is a little bit more fluid. A little bit more persuadable. So Cynthia Appiah is our leader with 6 to go. Looks like she might have taken a knock in the run there, a bit of blood on her gums. Yep. And that's why they wear a gum shield, a lot of the athletes, as well as their helmets. Melanie Hassler, Nadia Pasternak. This duo have been together for 3 seasons now, very successfully melded together. Silver medalist last week in Whistler. That
see if she can move up into the top 5 from here. 6 after the first heat.
They've improved their start by 500ths there and coming out with the fastest top speed. And that start time corresponds to the top guns in the first run. So if she can drive this clean, she's going to be looking to move up.
She's only a couple of hundreds out of the top 5. Medals might be a bit of a stretch. On this track, it's tough to tell.
It's a smooth drive so far. Can she keep it straight hit? Not quite.
Little rattle 10 to 11. 4/10 ahead of Cynthia Appiah. She had 2200ths in the first heat. That gap's coming back down though. Appiah had better speed lower down the track. Cleaner run though, and that should bring her back up to the 4/10 margin. No, 49.21 slide compared to 49.14 in the first heat. She'll be disappointed with that. You always want to go a little better at the second attempt.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we saw the same in Whistler last week, where her second one was just that little bit slower than her first. But I think it's still a result to be happy with, and a track that she's never driven before.
Yeah. And again, the same will apply when we go to Lake Placid for the World Cup there in 2 weeks' time. I think these two might enter the Push Championships. I think they've got a good shout of a good finish in the Push Champs in next weekend's activities at Lake Placid.
Yeah, well, it's the 3rd fastest start we've seen in the field, so that's a medal if they do it.
Little tap between 10 and 11, just gets that tail sliding again.
Yeah, when one bunk taps before the other, that's what sends the back of your sled into a slight skid. If you tap them both at the same time, you don't lose too much, but that slight tap gives you a little bit of a wiggle and a little bit of instability going into the corner.
5 sleds to go. Race 2 at the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup in Park City, Utah. Martin Haven and Trinidad and Tobago's Axel Brown watching the action. Our current leader, Switzerland's Melanie Hassler. At the line, Bianca Reeby and Niamh Hockey for Canada.
It's only 100th of a difference, 100th of a second difference here, so they're going to have to put down a heck of a run to stay in that position. I mean, 5th place is a great finish for her in her first World Cup season, so let's see if she can hold on to it.
Well, 2 rookies last week to World Cup racing, and this is their second race in the World Cup. She was 5th last week. She will definitely not want to lose 5th place here. 5:41 start compared to 5:40 in the first heat.
So they had great speed coming out of corner 6 in the first run. They were up with the medalists in terms of speed, so let's see if she can maintain that, because as we know, that's the trick to this course. Though it's 2/10 here, she's got good speed, that can come down. And there we go, the fastest speed so far. So if she stays tidy here, we can see that gap start to dwindle a little bit. Yep, and it's coming down 600ths less than the last block.
And she was much cleaner between 10 and 11 as well, so that will help her advantage. Down to 1/10 of a second. She's still trying to undo the start deficit. Little late of 14. This is going to be close. I think Hassler's got it. No, 300s, 49.19. So that ties her World Cup best. She was 5th last week in Whistler. She is 5th again.
Yeah, see the happiness there. Yeah. That's a great result for them. You can just see the importance of the speed through that middle section between corner 6 and corner 11. If you've got the high speed there and maintain it with clean lines, that's where this race is won and lost.
Look away, the sled moves and the head remains absolutely focused on the turn. The sled's moving around and the head is like gyro-centered, not moving at all.
Yeah, it's incredible what the human body can do. When you watch videos on board, it rattles you around, whereas when you're actually driving it, it feels steady and it feels smooth.
So there on the left, Bianca Reeby, on the right, Niamh Hockey. Congratulations, another top 5 run. So Bianca Reeby leads from Melanie Hassler and Cynthia Appiah. We have 3 German sleds and 1 US to come.
We've got these 4 sleds all in tight contention and within a couple of tenths of each other. Realistically, any of them could come away with a medal here. It just kind of depends on how they drive it and how fast they start, because they've all been within the ballpark on the start as well.
Lisa Buchwitz took a silver medal in the monobob yesterday on her 28th birthday. Rookie brakewoman Naila Schutten behind in her 4th ever bobsled race. Loads before the driver.
Yeah, slight skid coming out of the grooves there, so she was able to get on the D-rings and control that, but just these little movements that really don't seem like much compound down the track and can slow you down significantly.
didn't run it as deep as Cedric Follador's crew yesterday, who was, I think, still running on the way down to turn 2, but it came out and skid. Best speed of all.
Yeah, it's still a clean run. Obviously, she's the first of this kind of pack of 4 that have separated themselves, so we'll have to wait and see what the other sleds do. But
now, her teammates Nolte and Kalicki have been driving sleds for almost the entire last Olympic quads. She has been pushing sleds as well as learning to drive. I can't overemphasise how impressed I am with her driving ability. She's up there swinging for medals every time out, and it's her first season as a top flight driver where she's only focusing on the driving.
And she's clearly got that instinct for her sled and her equipment, which, you know, is one of those things that as you become a pilot, you know, you can learn it, but some people just have it, and I think it's pretty apparent that she's got the knack of it.
48.93 compared to 48.85. She was in 4th after the first heat. Is that enough for her to take a medal? Well, you see the driver loading there. Brave Woman actually loads 2 steps later, but gets in faster. Lisa got hooked up a little bit getting in, and she didn't have her hands on the D-rings as they left those drive lines.
And that's possibly a bit of her kind of inner brake woman coming out. She's so used to running it so deep and so able to run it so deep that she's maybe outrun her brake woman.
Well, there she is. There is her rookie brake woman. So, Lisa Bucklitz and Nail Scooter lead. So, to get a medal, she's got to overhaul a 2-time Olympic bobsled champion and an Olympic monobob champion, Kayley Humphries on home ice. Hunt the medal yesterday with a win in the monobob, 12 months to the day since she officially became a US citizen in her hometown of San Diego. She had to fly after doing training runs in Altenburg to San Diego, get sworn in at a special ceremony at the airport, get back on a plane, go back to Altenburg, and then did the monobob and the women's bobsled race. So it was a crazy week, but 12 months on, looks like she could take another medal here. She's only ever had gold or silver when she's been on the podium in Park City. Can she do that again? 5:31 getaway.
Obviously, this is therefore her first race in the US as a US pilot, so hopefully she can, you know, kind of commemorate that with some hardware.
Exactly right. Haven't had the opportunity in the last couple of years because of COVID to travel to the US. 300s behind Lisa Buckwitz. This will be a huge scout for the German driver if she can pick off Kayley Humphries.
Yeah, they were slightly slower on the start, but they got the highest top speed, and obviously we know Kayley's experience is going to come into effect further down the track.
Yeah, better speed again, 77.6 miles an hour. Now she has the lead, so she is guaranteed a medal of some colour at the moment. Keeps it clean from 14, she's going to be a little early on to 15. Good speed at the line. The leader by 900, she's in the medals.
You know, as we saw from the first run, that 900s can separate, you know, a bronze from a gold. So she's guaranteed a medal here. So it just remains to see what colour it's going to be. Yep. Clearly very happy with that.
So with Jasmine Jones behind her today. Jasmine raced last week with Nicole Vogt. So getting that synchronicity at the start when you don't have that intimate relationship, you know, where you've done start after start after start with your brake athlete, really important. And it looked like that worked really well with Jasmine there.
And they were within 100th of their first start. And, you know, when you've got a pilot like Kayley that can be so consistent, I think consistency is key. And just keeping things the same so that she can do her work when you're in the track.
Last US winner on this track was Jamie Grubel-Poser back in 2017. Alana Myers-Taylor has had double wins here. In fact, Alana with 2 wins, Kayley with 2 wins, and the other athlete with 2 wins on this track, Germany's Kathleen Martini, gelled well with this place. Now then, Laura Nolte, our Olympic champion, brand new brake woman behind her, Lena Neunke.
So they were 1100s behind the teammates Kim Kalicki in the first heat. So it's very similar start time. They brought it down by 300s, which, you know, they were only 900s behind the lead. So in bobsleigh maths, if you triple that, it puts her in gold medal contention. So let's see if she can drive it just that little bit cleaner than her first run.
A brake woman, 3 Europa Cup races in her career, all with Lisa Buckwitz, all in the medals. So she does know her way to the podium. Let's see if Laura Nolte can take the top step here Little tap, 10 to 11. She straightens it up nicely, though.
Yeah, keeping that 800s lead. She was clean into the labyrinth, which keeps the speed, but then yeah, that little tap into 11 is going to scrub a little bit of speed. Let's see what the clocks say here in terms of that speed, because it's a key one coming uphill. She's still the fastest, so she should maintain this lead, and she does.
So she maintains exactly the lead of 900s from the first heat, because a 48.92 run, 48.92 for Kaylee Humphries as well. The difference between them, Lara a little quicker on the first trip. And her brakewoman Lena, welcome to the World Cup with a medal. Guaranteed at least a silver.
Yeah, you love to see it, and obviously every athlete here wants to walk away with the gold, but let's see what happens on the load here.
Oh, little stumble there from Lauren Alter. Just kind of bumped onto the sled, then a hand misses the cowl. Wow.
And it's very easy to get distracted by something like that, you know, as a pilot when you're loading in, when things go wrong. It's easy in these first corners to get distracted, but then you also get this kind of second wind of like knowing you need to make up for those mistakes, and sometimes you drive it that little bit cleaner.
Saw as well the way she leans on the cowl a lot. She was leaning the sled there into 11 rather than steering it. So our first heat leaders are last to go. Kim Kilicki and Leonie Fiebig. For Leonie, the brakewoman from Cologne, her last World Cup was in Winterberg this January, so nearly 12 months ago. Kim Kilicki, her last World Cup was last week in Whistler, where, having never seen the track before, she walked away with the gold medal. Is lightning going to strike twice?
She had a very impressive first run, and with only 900s, you know, that can melt away really quick. So hopefully she can reinvigorate, find those same lines and keep that lead.
5:24 start, 5:25 start. So Alana Mars-Taylor and Asia Evans, the track record remains intact at the start, at least. Kilicki broke the downtime record set by Shana Roebuck and Val Fleming. So let's see if she can break that again. 2300s up. She had 800s over Lauren Alter from the first heat. This is a huge run.
Only the fourth fastest speed though, so we're going to see that lead start to come down. She's dropped that into the third fastest speed, but you know, we could see at the bottom of the track that speed coming back to bite her.
Out of turn 12, still 2200, so she's recovering. She's starting to rebuild that advantage, and just perfection of 14. Wow. Kim Kilicki is 2 for 2, a 48.77 run. So she wins again, having claimed victory in Whistler a week ago. They need to send her to more tracks she's never seen. She's even better on those than she is in Germany.
Yeah, it's really incredible to be able to come out here to a track she's never seen before, and it's clearly just so in tune with her, in tune with the ice, in tune with her equipment, that she's able to beat, you know, Olympic champion Kaylee.
And yet it is so different from Whistler last week. And, you know, the two more different tracks, like going from Altenburg to Eagles and winning them both. It's not the same drive. There's Leonie, and there in the helmet is your winning driver, Kim Kilicki. Well, two big starts, the fastest in the field, a new track record in the first heat. Her second run was also inside the previous track record. Kim Kilicki, Axel Brown, that's just impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, these German drivers, that it seems that when they hit their groove, they're capable of really, indeed, record-breaking stuff. It's impressive to watch.
And they're all so young, damn it.
Yeah, we've got a long time before we see these guys start to dwindle.
Well, you know, and there's the problem for the German program, is these three athletes could easily be around for another 2 Olympic cycles. So if you're 15 and you want to get into bobsled, boy, you're going to have to be good. Kim Kilicki, Lauren Alter, and Kaylee Humphries on the podium. Lisa Buchwitz in 4th ahead of Bianca Riebi and Melanie Hassler. That's how it finishes after the second BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup of the season. And that means with 2 golds, even by my maths, Kim Kilicki remains our World Cup points leader. 2 different tracks, 2 different brake women, and 2 identical results. Kim Kilicki victorious for the second time. She's never driven Lake Placid before. Is she going to go 3 for 3? I think the smart money says it's going to be tough to bat against her, but again, Kaylee Humphries has the experience. Well, there's Leonie on the left, Kim on the right, your race winners here. Thank you to Axel Brown for joining us in the booth and talking us through the action. Don't forget, we will be back this afternoon with the final race here. The 4-man bobsleigh starts at 1:30 local, 4:30 Eastern, 22:30 GMT. Kim Kilicki, the points leader, from Lara and Alter and Kaylee Humphries, because that's how they finished on the podiums today. Melanie Hassler eased out of the top 4, the silver medalist last week in Whistler. And that is it. Round 3 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup will be in 2 weeks from now in Lake Placid in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, one of the world's great racetracks. We'll see you there. Until then, for the IBSF TV crew and Axel Brown, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for being with us. We'll see you for the 4-man.